Okay, so this is going to be more of like a podcast style video. I want to try to make videos in this format because, I feel like it's easier for me to flesh out my ideas in a way that feels genuine. And it is also just an opportunity for me to think as I'm talking and think about what makes sense. I'll just cut out, like dead space and just leave in what I think is the important information. But yeah, the topic of today's video is why you don't want to save your money, why the age old advice of save your money is not good advice. It's really not, because it comes from an era where saving money made sense. It used to be that you could put money in a savings account in the bank and you would make, 10 to 15% returns. And that just hasn't been the case. That is the same baby boomer generation that was paying insanely high mortgage payments because of insanely high mortgage interest rates. We live in a time where savings account interest rates are extremely low. Even if you put your money in a CD, it's still not beating inflation. You have your grandparents and your parents telling you that you should be saving your money when in reality you should be investing it, because the truth is that the only way that you will be able to make a return on other people using your money that is outpacing inflation is in investments. Now, there are passive and aggressive ways that you can do this. Obviously, you can invest in broad market ETFs like SPY or QQQ, the Vanguard ETFs. You could also do sector specific ETFs like DRAM, which is the memory chip one that a lot of people are interested in. There's also dividends for those of you that find more comfort in having recurring revenue that's relatively consistent, though stock price does determine how much you're actually making. And a host of other options in the ETF space. I personally like to aggressively invest in single stocks. Currently, my portfolio is 3 companies: SpaceX, which makes up 88% of my portfolio, Celsius, which makes up about 10%, and then I have a 2% position in cash, which really is kind of like a day trading fund. Sometimes I use it as like a little swing trade if memory chips are down on a certain day or whatever. Um, One day trading strategy, and I don't recommend day trading at all. That's a quick way to lose all of your money. But one day trading strategy that I do employ in my investing is, a lot of times what I'll do is, if I wake up and I'm looking at the pre-market and I see that like all the chip stocks are down like between 7 and 12%, I usually jump into what I see as the most, reliable, most consistent rebounder. Uh, Stocks like AMD and Google, and what's another example? Intel, SanDisk. Yeah, there's a bunch of options, and sometimes, or usually, this is like innovation in general. So you'll also see the quantum stocks tanking. You'll see the software stocks sometimes. Um, Definitely nuclear reactors. Definitely space stocks. Anything that's in like the innovation space. Anyways, so the point is that in the stock market, you're likely to make between 8 to 10% on any given year. Recently, it's been a lot higher depending on how well you've kept up with the market, which is really easy to do if you just buy the market through broad market ETFs. And meanwhile, and it depends from bank to bank, from account type to account type, but I believe that the CDs at least a year ago were going for a rate of like between 3.8 and 4.2 depending on the week. And that's just nothing compared to what you'll make in the stock market. Some days I've made that much on SpaceX in a day. And of course, I've had down days too. So overall this year, I'm up about 12.5%. Slightly lagging the S&P, lagging the Nasdaq by about 4%, but I made a big bet on SpaceX, and I believe that I'll be beating both indexes by the end of the year. But that's a risk you take because when you invest in single stocks, you can certainly lose against the market. You really just gotta make sure that you are investing in what you believe in and that you have that conviction based on research and not because of anything emotional or not on just don't make decisions on a whim in the market. You got to remember, you're spending your money, so spend it wisely and make sure that you know what you're buying. Because if you don't know what you're buying, you'll sell it because you don't know why you bought it in the first place if things start to go bad.